Welcome, everyone, to Name Confidential Live.
Welcome everyone to Name Confidential. This is season 3, episode number 4. Today I have a guest I know pretty well through the business, Spencer Walls with Scarecrow Advisors and Scarecrow Trading. Spencer, it's good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Definitely. Well, we always start this off by looking at the name exposure index. And as a reminder to everybody, the name exposure index represents the average equity exposure that name members have to U.S. equity markets. So it looks like this week we got 60.24 is the average number, which is a little bit down from the previous week, which was 66.99. We've seen it steadily drop at least the last few weeks here, which I'm not necessarily surprised about. What about you, Spencer?
Not surprised.
No. I always like to look at, see if we got somebody who's still fully bullish. Yeah, we do, and fully bearish, we do as well. So both of the spectrums on either side, we got members that are going either way. And yeah, I mean, I don't do you pay attention to the name exposure index at all, Spencer?
We do, and we're actually contributors as at our firm, as you know. One thing that I think is kind of interesting here is you can see how the exposure index was a little bit faster to predict the incoming bear market or the bear market conditions. So you can see here in January that the market started to kind of stagnate, and yet that's when the downward trend for the exposure started dialing back. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, we have seen a pretty steady decline throughout the year with at least with our exposure index. So yeah, I didn't even that's good point out there. Well, perfect. Well, I think we can jump into, I know you got some slides and kind of go over, Scarecrow's investment philosophy and we can kind of take it from there.
Sure, yeah. I'm here to just kind of talk about some of our trading strategies, Ben, since I know that you're usually doing the interviewing. You don't get to talk about our strategies or what makes us a little bit different. Um, but I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes of Crow Chaser strategies. We can talk about that. So our systems are all quantitative data-driven systems. And Crow Chaser, our oldest strategy dating back to 2003, has four main disciplines that it seeks in the market: momentum, trend following, sentiment, and seasonal timing, and 17 indicators across those four different disciplines. So you can see here that about 25% of those discipline or those indicators are in the momentum discipline. The trend following discipline sentiment is dialed back at only 15%, and then the seasonal timing is 25%.
And then so is that 17 different indicators then? Oh,
That's correct.
okay.
Some are, well, that's correct for Crow Chaser. Right, Ben, or am I misremembering that?
Well, yeah, so 17, there are a few in Crow Chaser that are the same. They're not different, but well, they're different and they're not different, I guess is a good way to put it, because there are some that have different weightings, but they're the same algorithm. So the impact, although the same algorithm, is different.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe we can
so
talk about that right now. So we'll jump into this slide right here for Crow Chaser. So basically you're talking about so we'll start at the bottom here, level one. So this is kind of an example or a screenshot, a visual representation of the algorithms. So you can see that there may be a momentum indicator here, and it might be the exact same over here. However, it could have a different weighting. So here, let me find a good example. Um,
the
this trend
calendar
fault.
looks calendar.
Okay, yeah, the calendar, right? So that represents the seasonal timing. So we have three different algorithms on this side in seasonal timing. However, only one of them in composite two, which is the second half of Crow Chaser. If you think of it of two subsystems married together to come to the final conclusion signal. So you can see that we might reuse an algorithm on both sides. However, the second one has a different weighting, so that's shown with the +2 there.
Okay.
So to talk about
So
Crow
so
Chase a little bit more for a second. So to come with the final signal generation for the market, which we run every single day, to reevaluate what the final position should be. All 17 algorithms are collecting their data and pulling it back. And then from that data, each composite system weighs those. And based on if it has a positive integer or a negative integer past its trigger limit, it will pick a position. So it can decide either a short position or a long position in the market for the subsystem. So they're each independent, so they'll come up with their own signal. And then the final step is when we combine those two signals together. So we have an example here at the top. If they each come to consensus of short triggers, then they're going to go short in the market for the day. Likewise, if they're both long, then they're going to go long in the market for the day. If they're conflicting, however, then they will take a cash position.
So I see some negative ones on there. Are those bear market indicators then, or what does the negative one mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they're bear market indicators. And they'll also, for some of them, they'll also make it more reactive, right? So it might be so we take the inverse of what it's telling us essentially. So it's a bear market trigger.
Okay. So then it looks like momentum, easy to tell there. It says momentum.
Hmm.
Um, and then you said trend. That
Trend,
would
which are the
be
calendars. Or
okay.
sorry, the charts. The calendar is the seasonal timing, and then the crying guy is the trader sentiment. And remember, so trader sentiment's only 15%, so that's the smaller piece. And we'll go back to the start here. You can see trend following is 35%, sentiment is 15, seasonal timing and momentum are both 25%.
So then from this, I gather that you guys are using kind of a consensus approach. You're not just strictly following momentum or just looking at seasonality. You like to look at different disciplines out there.
That's correct. And kind of our secret sauce is the mix of all of those ingredients.
Okay. Oh, and then go back to Crow Chaser. I thought of a question.
Yes.
What is the percentage then when it gets up there for the long signal, the cash or short?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So Crow Chaser is our first system, and it's based on a 100% long, 100% cash, or 100% short position. It doesn't take any hedge positions or half positions. So it's always 100% exposed to the market or in cash.
Do you guys have any systems that don't look at, being balls out, I guess 100% and 100% cash and so on?
We do. We have the high five strategy, which is kind of a newer iteration of Crow Chaser. It's got its own mix of ingredients, but it also has Crow Chaser as two of its own subsystems. It has a lot more market indicators. As you can see, it's made up of 36 different market indicators, but it's still across those same four disciplines. And one of the interesting parts of this system is it can use a levered exposure approach to the market. So instead of just seeing that big change from 100% long exposure to 100% cash exposure, it usually will dial back at 20% at a time. So you might see a 60% long, 40% cash, for example.
Have you seen it trading at all with, everything going on with the market recently?
We have, yeah. But by and large, our systems like to ride the upside of the market, and they're pretty optimistic. However, we have seen some moves to cash more recently, trying to deal with the volatility in the market right now.
Okay. And then so 100, what other percentages do you generally see in high five?
Yeah, so generally, the smallest market position it'll take is 60% in the market. I believe that's right, correct, Ben? 60% long?
Yes. Yeah.
So the smallest position in the market it'll take is 60%, and then it levers in 20% increments. So you'll see 60% long, 80% long, or 100% long. And it's the same with the inverse positioning as well. And one important thing to note is our strategies are using leveraged mutual funds underlying in the strategies. So when I say 100% long exposure to the market, I really mean 200% with the levered product.
Got it. Okay. And then so when you're 60% long, Is the rest of the money in cash then?
That is correct. It's in cash because of the active nature of the strategy. We put it in cash because we usually need the funds to liquidate right away for another trade the next day.
Does something like High Five then trade more frequently than Crow Chaser?
Definitely, yes. And as I was saying before, they both are pretty optimistic and like to outride or ride the upside potential of the market. Crow Chaser trades on average of 10 times a year, and I believe High Five trades on average just over 70 times a year. So you can see with that levered approach and the scaling back of exposure, you get a lot more trading activity.
In the trades, okay, so that includes the dialing back, like a trade, going 100 to 80 is going to be included in that.
Correct.
That's seven. Okay. From your experience, what have you seen, I guess, as differences between Crow Chaser and High Five? What?
Yeah. So number one, High Five is almost always the first mover. So
Okay.
if you're looking for something that's a little bit more active or reactive in the market, that's going to be the one that appeals to you. And because of that, it can get some really, really interesting trading patterns where it will make lots of hits in a row. And sometimes it will work the opposite way where it'll have a few misses in a row. So some people don't like that aspect of it, where they'll prefer the crow chaser, where you're just kind of gonna wait out that volatility. However, I do have to say Crow Chaser or High Five has had some really good trading history, and it does win more often than it loses, by and large. And it does win more on average dollar amount per winning trade than it loses per losing trade. So overall, it's still on the right side of the trend line where we like it. Um, is there anything else I should add there, Ben? Well, one interesting thing is 2022 was a really, really great market year for it, correct?
It was, yes.
And that was when we were seeing quite a bit of volatility in the market.
Yeah, 2022 was the biggest year, or the biggest change between something like Crow Chaser and High Five.
Yeah,
Um, and that was kind of the last, at least longer, kind of more bear market volatility we've seen that it wasn't a V-shape recovery, like because we've
right.
seen a lot of V-shapes recently. That one was extended downward volatility during the year, and High Five took advantage of that. Crow Chaser took advantage in the beginning of the year, and struggled a little bit in the second half when seasonality kind of kicked it back into a long position when it was trying to maybe hold a cash or short. But High Five, something that was a little bit more reactive, thrived in that period. And there were, yeah,
Yes.
the months that you had talked about, like where it can hit. It had a few months. I believe they were, close to 40% just because of uh the winning trade nature that can happen in something like that.
That's right. Yeah, the best month in 2022 was over 40%. And the interesting point you say there is the V-shape recovery versus an extended recovery. So I just want to hammer home on that a little bit more, expand on that. What you mean by that is our systems are less predictive or not predictive, they're reactive. So it's harder for them to respond to a V-shape market where you see a quick drop and a quick recovery. That's something that Crow Chaser does better at because it just kind of ignores it and tries to ride the upside of the market. Whereas High Five can try to maybe react a little too soon. However, when you see the longer recovery, that's when High Five does a really great job, or the extended market recovery, that's when High Five has more opportunities to maximize its opportunities with winning trades in the market. So when we see those longer recovery times in the market, that's when we see High Five thrive.
Well, got it. Well, and then another question I have is, do you guys at Scarecrow have a longer term outlook or is it shorter term?
Great question. With the volatility that the leverage products have, we can expect some short-term volatility. Sorry, I'm losing my words for a second here. You can expect some short-term volatility. So we usually tell our clients to expect at least a 3-year time horizon. With those 3 years, usually we'll be able to, ride the upside of the market out of any short-term volatility that you'll experience. For example, if you enter during a market downturn. Um, yeah, and usually with those expectations, most investors are understanding of that. So we say
Okay.
3 years.
And then being a more aggressive or volatile strategy, then this isn't something that people are putting 100% of their money in then.
Definitely not. No, we consider ourselves a boutique investment advisory firm, so we like to work along other strategies or other advisors, and we recommend to our clients that unless they really want to, they feel extremely strongly convicted and they understand the strategies well, that they reduce their portfolio exposure to us to 50%.
Yeah, and then I know on the our trading side where people are using us and blended models, usually we're seeing 5 to 20%.
Yes, and I think that's a really good place where we fit because the model manager can pick exactly what's right for their client, but they can still add some juice to those portfolios.
Yeah, this a lot of people say it's the extra spice that they
Hmm.
provide. It's not a core strategy like when I had interviewed Asher a few weeks ago, he had a core strategy. This is
Okay.
Scarecrow is not. This would be the extra spice that you would add. Um,
Definitely. Alpha seeking.
well, cool. I think is there any other thoughts or anything that you want to share about the strategies before we hop on to the next thing?
There is one quick thing. So, going back to time horizon there for the question that you asked, what the client should expect for time horizon. The reason why we recommend the 3 years is because if you look at a rolling 3-year return, you're almost historically with the 3-year rolling return, we're in the green quite substantially. So that's long enough where as a short term, it's not unusual to see drawdown of maybe 10 to 20% once or twice a year. So
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that.
mhm.
That's good. Yeah, let's jump into the NAAIM conference coming up. I want to make sure we cover that, and I know you're excited to talk about that too.
Sure.
All right, so we got the UK conference coming up the 26th through the 29th. It's going to be out there in uh, Tampa, Florida at the Westin Tampa Waterside Hotel. I know you and I were joking about the bell up there earlier.
Yep, Susan's bell.
Oh yeah. If you come to a conference, if you haven't come, the bell will make sense. If you want to
Yes,
know what the bell means, you got to come to the conference to figure it out.
it'll make a star appearance.
A couple things about Sunday here. We can see
Mhm.
the events that we have. NAAIM golf tournament. That's always a good one. Everybody who goes to that always loves talking about their experience there. We started pickleball a year or two ago.
Yes.
So there is some pickleball. There is a pickleball tournament as well. And then solo advisor meeting is always a really good one to go to if you're coming there for your first time. I would definitely suggest going to the solo advisor meeting. And then the name welcome party to end the day right before we start everything on Monday. So that's a good one to go to. Usually we have some like hors d'oeuvres there and drinks or something to have and just kind of conversate and get to know people before the fun starts on Monday. Right now, member only pricing is 14. Oh, if you want to go back there. Yeah, 14.90 and non-member pricing is 16.95. So definitely
Become a
a
member.
good discount if you're coming as a member there. Was that $205? So if you like saving money, and you also want, it's definitely good to be a member. There are a lot of other perks there that you get outside of just saving some money on being or on going to the conference. Um,
Switch over to the agenda here and we can take a look at that.
yeah, so the agenda, so Sunday, I kind of went over what we got on Sunday. You can see Monday some of our speakers that we have there. Dre Redfern, we've seen him before. Very good speakers. We got Steve from All Star Charts, Joe from Stark and Stark, the fun compliance talk that we have
Yes,
every time. It's
always
always
a
good to
highlight.
hear. Um, got Ed with Ned Davis Research and Dean with Turning Point Market Research on Tuesday. So, and I know Paul Schatz is also talking. He's a name member. He's going to be talking about marketing. I don't know what day that is, but
There are a couple more here.
you,
Yep. So here's our guest speakers. And the guest speakers are always one of my favorite parts of the NAME event. If you don't mind me speaking, I've been to I want to say this will be my fourth NAME event, and it's always been great. I always love the guest speakers, super interesting. I always come home super invigorated and inspired to hit the ground running. Lots of great speakers that talk about their business and things that you can implement in your own business. Um, and we have both technical side speakers. I'm sure like Ed and Dean will be those types
Mhm.
of businessmen giving their insights and market research and their opinions, as well as media people like Dre Redfern who focus on expanding your business and marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely a good blend. So if you're looking to get some technical, of course we have the speakers and a lot of the name members, if you want to get technical, that's who to talk to.
Yep.
Um, but then there's also things to help grow your RAAs. We put more of a focus on that recently with
Mm.
marketing and just AUM growth and all that kind of stuff. And roundtables are also always really good.
Yeah.
I didn't see those on there, but we usually have those on the agenda, so I'll watch out for that in the next couple days or so. But you can pick and choose which of the marketing tables you like to go to, and there's usually one on like marketing or custodians and stuff like that, trading.
Yeah. AI, referrals, online ad spend, lots of different things, physical marketing, lots of really, really great ideas that we go through there.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say the roundtables are just as good as the speakers, just as valuable. It's a On Monday we have a event. I got to make sure I put the plug in for the event. So we're going to the Columbia restaurant.
That's right.
So that's the oldest restaurant in Florida.
Very
And
cool.
it sounds like it's also the oldest Cuban restaurant in the US. So if you like food and you like Cuban food, this is where we're gonna go. And then you got to sign up so you can see everybody there and get some good food on Monday. We always have a nice big event the end of day on Monday when we have the UK conference. So super excited for that one.
Looking forward to it.
We also have credits for IARs here. So the NASAA credits. You can get 3+ for products and services. And we're also going to have 3 for ethics as well. Ethics might be near the end of the day Wednesday too. So you want to make sure you stay the whole entire time at the conference. You can get all those credits and it's free of charge. As well as CFP credits. We got those as well.
Great.
So if you're looking to get credits, you're looking to have a great conversation, you're looking to get food and stay up late with great conversation, then the NAME UK conference is a conference for you. Go sign up now. Don't second guess anything. I am also told that I need to mention there is a cornhole tournament on Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
I normally forget about that just because I have had no success the past 2 years. So I'm sorry, I forgot about it. But we will have cornhole tournament and
Cool.
it's random. You can get paired up with anybody. So if you're lucky, you get one of the top tier players. So I know Kirk was up there. Who else was really good at cornhole?
Oh, Julia's partner from a couple years ago. What was it? Was his name also Ben?
Julia was with, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now on who Julia was with.
Well, we all know who he is because he's the best. I think he won that year. He was matched with
Josh
Julia.
Neller is good. Okay, Josh.
Josh, that's his name. That was his name, yes.
Yeah, there's some good ones that you can get pretty intense. You know, you're thinking about March Madness going on right now. Well, you're gonna have some March Madness going on with this
April
cornhole tournament,
Madness.
except it's April Madness then.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, it's late on Tuesday after dinner, so we're all feeling good. We've all had a drink or two. That's when cornhole, that's when it's culturally acceptable to play cornhole. So,
Yeah, it's a really nice way to, as a new member, get in there and kind of a low pressure environment, get to talk to and get to know a lot of the name members.
yeah, build your professional network, meet people who have, a specific specialty or interest in something that you're researching. Really, really good time to approach people and start conversation.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would put also out there about the conference is, if you go to a lot of these bigger conferences, sometimes they're so big, there's so many
Yes,
people there, you just kind of go with the flow of the agenda. You don't meet that many people. Um, name you do, it's kind of like a big family. Eventually, you'll come right in if and you'll meet people and you'll start finding kind of who are your um who are the best members that you kind of associate with very quickly.
definitely.
So, and it helps with having kind of activities like we do at the end of Monday, and end of Tuesday with cornhole, where you can just kind of conversate and really get to know people and
Yeah, you
share
just
ideas and all that.
really can't beat the culture of the crew at NAAIM. You really cannot. It's not like a Charles Schwab, extremely professional suits, high stakes event the entire time. Um, People are really sociable and knowledgeable and well intentioned. So it's a really good group to be around.
Yeah, and you walk away with a lot of knowledge too and a lot of ideas, and you can follow up on those ideas after with certain name members,
Yeah.
that you have them with. So it's really good. I would highly recommend it. If you're on the fence, jump over the fence now, get over to the NAME UK conference and figure out what this bell means.
We'll see you
Well,
there.
yeah. Well, Spencer, I want to thank you for coming on today, sharing a little bit about Scarecrow. Because I never really can because I'm on this side of the interview process. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
thank
thanks
you
for
for
having
coming
me,
in
Dan.
and talking about and sharing your thoughts on Name UK as we got that coming up in just about a month now.
Very excited. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.